Hey everybody, this is Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome to episode 13 of my Out of the Park Baseball 19 playthrough with the Phillies. We have just finished the All-Star break, about 3 days away from the trading deadline, and we are still in line for the playoffs. Believe it or not, we're just a half game out of the division lead in the East behind Washington. But just like last year, it looks like these three teams, Miami, us, and Washington, are going to be fighting for that division lead. I hope that we can pull it out this year. We've been playing pretty strong overall. You can see on our stacks rankings, offense has picked it up quite a bit. Our starters ERA is still struggling, but bullpen's doing really good. The only alarming thing really is this defensive efficiency. We're 15th, which is last in the league, and I haven't seen us that low in this entire playthrough, going back to when I had this team with version 18. I don't think I've ever had a problem with defensive efficiency. I usually try to, if nothing else, I usually try to put together a good defensive team, so I'm not sure where the struggle is. I know offensively, Juan Ochoa has been struggling a little bit, and it could be, him and Wright. He might be a problem, but the infield, I will have to say, with Lewis out, I was playing Cameron Tennessee, who's that young guy, young prospect, who's primarily a third baseman. I have been playing him at short. That might have something to do with it, but Lewis is finally off the DL and healthy, so Tennessee's going to be back to bench duty. So maybe if that's the problem, maybe that'll go away. But as we lead into the trading deadline, I've already made one trade, which might be the only trade that I make. And it was something that the AI offered me, and it was for this guy, Danny McSparron, who was a starting pitcher from Tampa, who was actually not doing that great, but his ratings are really solid. He's only a 2.5 star with a 3-star potential, but I liked him better in that starting rotation than the guy I did have. And since he came over to the team in 4 starts, his ERA is really good, 2.28. WHIP is really good. And he's pitching into the 6th, 7th inning a couple times. So I like that about him. And by picking him up, I was able to move, who did I move? Diego Medina, that's right. He was in the starting rotation. He's just a 2-star starter right now, and I was able to move him into the bullpen, and that gives me 2 lefties that I can use coming out of the bullpen. But who I traded for McSparron, it was, like I said, the AI offered me the trade, and it was for Morel, who I was using as a setup guy. He's 4.5 star rated reliever. Last year he was pretty good, and at times he looked pretty good for me this year. But he had started to struggle anyway, and it looks like Tampa Bay needed him as their closer because he's picked up 4 saves for him, even though his ERA is pretty high. But I thought that was a gamble I could take because I had this guy, Tommy Ray, in AAA, who was doing really good in AAA, and he's potential 3.5 star reliever for my scout. OSA doesn't like him as much, but I was able to bring him in, and hopefully he's only pitched 3 games for me, but I'm hoping that he can at least have as good an impact as Morel was having. So I didn't think I lost anything there, and I did gain at least a good rated starting pitcher. And Medina, I've kept him as a starter. I wonder if if I set his position as a reliever. Yeah, I mean, he's rated as a 3.5 star reliever. So I think he's a borderline starter. I think he's going to work a whole lot better coming out of the bullpen. So that's the only trade that I'm probably going to make. I know the pitching staff is still weak, but I'm hoping McSparron at least picked it up a little bit for us. And in terms of the rest of the staff, I hope that the bullpen's going to be good enough to keep us competitive. As far as the guys to who've been carrying us so far. I think Kentelme in that starting rotation and Urrutia, those 4 and 5 guys, are really having my best year in terms of starting. And then Austin is just still having a great year, still leading the league in saves at 32, on pace for 53. So I'm pretty happy overall with the pitching. And then in offense, a couple of good things are happening here. One, Torvald Vandenhoeven has started to hit. He has had a really, really good July. His average is already up to 260, 261. For the month, he's at 355 batting average, 5 home runs, 10 RBIs. If the production was a little bit better, I think he might have a good shot, depending on how he finishes out this series at the end of the month. He might have a good shot at batter of the month for July. But he's really turned it around. And the it doesn't tell me here. I forget when the next scouting report's going to come. I don't know if it's the 1st of August or September, but I'm hoping with him playing as well as he is, I'm hoping that's going to lead to a boost in his ratings, and that might get the owner off my back for keeping him in there at first, because I'm really happy with that production, to be honest. He's a good defensive first baseman. He's a leader in the clubhouse. If he finishes the year off this way, I would be happy with that production, especially considering his age. And then for the rest of the team, Juan Elman is having a monster year. I don't know if this guy might be in contention for MVP if he keeps these numbers up. The only thing that scares me is his injury proneness. He's been injury prone for the most part since I picked him up, but if he stays healthy and finishes out the way he's been playing, he's going to have a great year. And since we are in the playoff hunt, I had mentioned in last episode that he might be someone I might throw out there for a trade. But I think we just need him too much offensively, and I'm going to just ride it the rest of the year and hope that he stays healthy. And then Vargas his production is still there. He's having a great year. Ochoa is the one who's really struggling, and I think as I get back to simming some games out, I'm going to limit his time in right even more. He's not terrible. His outfield range is not that great, but he's got a good arm and good error rating, so I don't think he's necessarily terrible in defense, but he's struggled offensively, and I may just have to bat Molina a little bit more, his ratings are pretty good against righties. I may have to play him a little bit more at right field going forward. So that's how the team's looking right now. And I wanted to go over a couple things that have happened since the last episode. The first thing is the All-Star game. And this is one of the bigger surprises of the year, honestly. We had 4 players make the All-Star team this year, which it's been a while since I've had multiple players even make the All-Star team. And I think 4 might be the most I've seen in several years. So I was really happy with that. A couple of them were surprises, but one big thing was that Vargas, he was the leading vote getter at center field in the National League. So he made the All-Star team. And Elman wound up making the All-Star team. So that was, for those guys, that was both of them, that was their first time making the All-Star game. And well-deserved, honestly, for both. They're definitely having great years. And then for pitching, Bobby Austin made it, and this is just his second year in the league. So I think that's good for him that he's getting that kind of recognition. And a surprise, though, was another reliever, Chad Rozier, made the All-Star team, and I think it was based on his win totals. He's got a lot of wins coming out of the bullpen, and he's having an okay year. I think his ERA at the time, his ERA is around 3, but with those wins, I think that may have been what got him elected to the All-Star game. But very happy with that. Hopefully that'll be a trend that continues over the next 4 years, especially with Vargas. I hope he becomes a perennial All-Star. That'd be good. And then the other thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this focus on this episode. I think since I've been playing these playthroughs, this is something I've never done in the episode, even back with the 18 version. Hopefully it won't be too boring, but around about this time every year, around August or so, is when I start looking at my personnel and looking at whose contracts are about to expire and looking at who I want to keep. And as you know, if you've watched this far, I am a control freak when it comes to this game. So I've set up to manage just about everything in the minors, except I don't set the lineups, and I think the managers are able to sign free agents if they need to. But I do manage the staff, the personnel. I like to look for good coaches and managers who I think are a good fit for whatever level I'm hiring for. And I don't know, it would be nice if there was a study done on this, and there might have been already from some of the OOTP community. I don't know how much of a difference coaches and managers make on a player's development, or how your minor league system develops. But I think it's probably going to have a pretty good impact if you're talking about a coach who's rated as poor versus somebody who's got good ratings or good reputation, and then he's also rated to I think the line is he works well with youngsters, or he's better working with younger players than veterans. I tend to believe that it's going to make a big impact, and so that's why I like to keep my hands in it. So that's what I'm going to look at first, and right away we've got a couple of guys on the Phillies staff who are up for their contract extensions. And the first is hitting coach Felipe Mata, who has been with me now for a while, and he was the hitting coach formerly for Tampa Bay. I think I'm definitely going to keep this guy. He's rated it great, and if you look at how we're doing this year in particular, I think he's done a good job for me, so I'm going to try to sign him. Hopefully he will. Yeah, he will take a 2-year extension. Pretty high, though, $520,000, but I'm going to go for it. Like I say, I think these guys do make a difference. And then team trainer, this guy is rated legendary in several categories. The only thing he's not rated at good is in heel legs and fatigue recovery. But he's excellent reputation overall. I'm going to offer this guy an extension if he'll take it. And once again, he's wanting $500,000, so a good amount of money, but I think it might be worth it. Now, starting with AAA, all these guys are up for an extension. And one of the reasons I like looking at this around August is, especially in the AAA and AA, I feel like, and even in the A leagues, that's usually enough time in the season to tell how good these guys are doing. And I look at two things. I look at their reputation and their overall record. So starting out with AAA here, I've already got 2 question marks. The manager and the pitching coach, both rated at poor. And you can see the record here for Encarnacion. 2 years, he hasn't done really well. So I'm not going to offer him an extension. And then the pitching coach, he's been in the my farm system for a while. He did really well at Lakewood, which is the low A ball team, but he struggled at AAA. I'm not going to keep him. But these 2 guys at Reading, if I can re-sign them, I may move them up to Lehigh next year. Although another strategy for me is I tend to keep the guys who are rated really good and who work well with the youngsters. I usually try to keep them in AA and below because I feel like that's where the development really hits. So for Arzano, for instance, this guy's he's been in my farm system for a while. He's had great records there in my rookie league team. So struggling a little bit at Reading, but believe it or not, that's better than that team has been in the past. So I definitely want to re-sign this guy if he'll take it. He has no interest in working for Reading. So what I could do is see if he will take over the manager for AAA and see if I can offer him an extension there. No, he has no. All right, so that didn't work. But let me try Scott Vanderweg now. He's also been in my system for a while. Had great. He's been a great pitching coach, really. And I promoted him a couple stops there. And Reading just doesn't have the players. Usually, by the time, if they're really good, a lot of times I'll move them up from AA. So he's probably just struggling with the talent around him, but he has a pretty good influence on youngsters. So I want to keep him if he will sign. He will sign a 1-year extension, so that is good. So the only guy I couldn't keep was Arzano. And then at Clearwater, their manager is up for an extension. And he's having a terrible year at Clearwater, but if you look at Williamsport, he even won the playoffs 1 year. He had a good record there. I think he's struggling too with the talent. So I think I want to offer him an extension, and he won't take it. So I'll probably lose him, unfortunately. So looking at Lakewood, Munoz, who's having a good year at Lakewood. He's been solid since he's been there. I will definitely like to keep him if I can. And he will sign a 1-year extension. I'll be okay with that. And then pitching coach, same deal. He's been in the system for a long time, and he's really looked good every stop that he's been. I definitely want to keep him. And he'll sign a 2-year extension, so that's good. And lastly, Matos, who's the hitting coach. He's been in my system for a while. 2 teams, short season A and now Lakewood. I'd like to keep him too because he's having a good year. He will sign a 1-year extension. And I may move those guys up to AA at the end of the year or wherever I have a gap. At Clearwater, for instance, if I'm unable to sign any of those guys. And so that's a couple guys that I wasn't able to re-sign. And now at Williamsport, pitching coach, I moved him down actually from Clearwater. He has a pretty good influence on youngsters, and he's having a good year. I don't know if he'll accept an extension. He will, so I'll keep him at Williamsport. Even though his reputation's poor, maybe if he has a couple good years at Williamsport, that'll improve. So now moving down to the rookie leagues, Corey Patton. He's able to handle young players a little bit better. He is looking pretty good there. He's been in my system for a while. He kind of tanked at Reading. I'm going to see if he'll stay on. Yep, and he'll stay on for a year. And then Lenny Harris, who is the hitting coach. He's doing pretty well in his first year, and he will sign a 1-year extension. So now, for the Dominican Rookie League, he's a conventional manager style. His record's not been that great, to be honest. I'm wondering what he would take to sign. This is a Dominican Rookie League. No, wait, I don't want to point as. I want to offer an extension. He'll go another year, but it's pretty high. Let me see what the rest of the coaching is on there. Pitching coach Martinez. He's looking pretty good. I think I'll keep him if he'll stay. Now he doesn't want to stay. And Casey Myers, he's been on that team forever. And he has a good influence on younger players. It might be time to get some just change things up a bit there because they haven't been too successful in the last few years. Looking at the other Philadelphia 2, the other Dominican Rookie League team, Same deal, but he's having a good year. I think I'll offer him an extension, and he'll sign for 2 more years. And then their pitching coach, John Wasden, is up for. Man, he's not looking too good. I think I'll let him go. So I'll have a few coaching vacancies at the end of the year in the off season, but I'm hoping I made some pretty good choices there. Where we seem to be doing the best in development in this playthrough, what I've noticed is once they get to New York, the New York Penn League, that short season A team, if they're gonna develop into good players, that's where I usually start seeing their development take off. What I have noticed though is that in the A leagues, I don't see a whole lot of development there. But then if they make it to Reading, usually that's when they make the next leap, where they're ready to go into the majors. So I think I'll keep it kind of like that. I'm trying to build Reading up a little bit with keeping some good coaches and managers there. I was hoping that I could keep Arzano, but he is rated really, his reputation is really high to be just a low, like a manager in Double A. So I guess he'll probably get a better offer in the offseason. We'll see how that works though. But I thought I would take a look at that, and if you're in your own playthroughs, if you have some strategy tips you want to share with me and the other subscribers here, feel free to put it in the comments. But that's kind of how I handle my minors system. I look for guys who work well with youngsters, have good reputation, and then finally their record. Their record is not as important to me really as their reputation and whether they work well with youngsters or not. And I guess considering that I'm currently last in the minor league farm system, maybe I should change that strategy up. I haven't looked at that in a while, so let me see if I moved up a little bit. Nope, still last, but that'll probably won't be reflected until the next scouting report comes through, or the next time they run this, they simulate the minor league farm systems. So what I'm going to do now is play through a few games, and we'll look at the standings. I'm about to go up against Milwaukee, and surprise, they've overtaken Cincinnati, and they've currently got the best record in the National League, still looking strong. And I've got a 3-game series with them coming up on the road, and then a 4-game series with Miami. So those are 2 big series coming up. Probably going to see whether I'm going to go into August still in the playoff hunt or not. But let's go ahead and get started on this first game, playing out against Milwaukee. Or not playing out, I should say. I'm going to sim this one out. And looks like we barely lost that first game 2-3. Vargas a good game. Lewis 2 for 4. Pitching wise, Cantelme, he picked up his first loss of the year, but didn't look terrible. 3 runs, but he gave me 6 innings. And Lingenfelter, he's been around this league for a while. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different player. Sorry. He's fairly young pitcher, actually. I think there's another guy in this playthrough who was named Lingenfelter, who played for Baltimore, I believe. So a couple of injuries. Kendall Simmons, who's 3.5-star player, he's out for a while. And Miami, Chris McDonald shut out New York. Miami might overtake Washington as the year goes, as we get to the rest of the season here. So second game against Milwaukee, and we win huge, 13-6. Neidiger, great game, 4 for 5. His average is now above 250. Lewis, 3 for 4. 2 solid games from him in a row. Vandenhoeven, a great game, 3 for 5, 4 RBIs, 2 home runs in the game. Wow. So he's up to 18 home runs, on pace for 29. I think this guy's capable of 30-plus home runs easily a year. And then pitching-wise, looks like Urrutia held in there long enough to get the win, his 6th of the year. And then looking at the news, there's probably going to be, should be some trades announcements here. Dodgers and Orioles, a trade. Nothing really big. We got 2 more days to that trading deadline. Big loss, 1-11. And looks like we had a big injury there. Juan Ortega in Williamsport. He's out for 4 months or so. But offensively, didn't have much going on in this one. Barge, though, did have a home run, looks like. But Lockfeld, man, he's just not doing well at all. And then Rozier, big, terrible game. That's probably the worst game he's had all year. Gave up 5 runs in relief. That ballooned his ERA up to 3.55. And we're coming up against Miami, not looking too good. We're 1.5 games now out. And Baltimore made another trade. And this is an old Phillies player, J.P. Crawford. He's still in the league, 2 stars. Not doing too bad. He's still got some good defensive ratings. 36 years old. Let's see how his career's done. So he made it past 1,000 hits, 260 average overall. He had a few good years for us early on, but just did not develop into the type star player that I guess he's as a Phillies fan, I hope he's going to be in the major leagues. All right, so trading deadline, and now this first game of 4 at Miami. And we lose a squeaker 3-4, and we do have our player development update coming up. So we're back to 2.5 games out of first. Vargas 2 for 5, not a bad game for him. Ochoa had a pretty decent game considering. Vallejo lost his 9th game. That was his 9th loss of the year. Not doing too good. I'm going to have to do some changes on that lineup. But let me look at the news real quick. Scout picked up a guy in Panama, but he doesn't look like he's too much of a player there. So here's the hitters and the pitchers of the month awards in the American League. It went to Chris Woodley from Tampa Bay. Young guy, 3-star player there. Man, he's got a great contact rating. Not great defensively, but he might develop into a really good player. 19 home run power. And in the National League, Nick Dunn for St. Louis. He had a good year, or a good month. Definitely beat out Van den Heuvel. Dunn hit 400 with 6 home runs for the month. And then relievers, Chris Kidd. He won the pitcher of the month in the American League. In the National League, went to another closer. So 2 closers won it. This guy has 33 saves already. On pace for 52. And then for rookie, it was Chris Woodley again and Josh Atkins for the Cubs. This guy looks good too. This is his first year in the majors. He's on pace for a pretty decent year. He might be rookie of the year there with those kind of numbers. And player development update, I'm going to go through and see what this is looking like. So Rivera, he took a little bit of a hit. Tommy Ray, he improved his control and his overall. No, it looks like his control rating went up. Diego Medina, stamina went up. Ramon Castro, who struggled, his movement went down. Sean Barge picked up a power rating there, and his eye rating improved. So that could hopefully help him out a little bit. His average is back up a little bit better than it was last year, but still not playing like he was those first 2 years. Juan Elman, his eye rating went up, and he's now 3.5 stars potential and overall. Chad Neidiger got a boost in a couple things there. Ochoa, his power rating went back up. Alex Kane, looks like the rest of these guys are going to be mostly either bench players or minors. Let's see if there's any major boosts here. So Alfredo Espinal, who is he's a borderline starter. His ratings are looking really good. He might be up to the majors pretty soon. He was a 5th round pick for me in 2028, but he's just under 22 years old. Not having a great year, but that's at Reading. His numbers look good though. Potential stuff of 16, decent movement. His control, if he makes that could be good. He's got 3 pitches that he's working on, but that fastball is really good. OSA doesn't like him as much as my scout, but he's a 2.5 star potential. He took a big boost there though in the ratings. And let's see, Alfredo Guerrero at rating. He's still just a half-star player, but he had a couple ratings improve. And then this guy, Luis Salcido, he had a lot of things improve there as well. He's at Lakewood. Looks like he may have been a minor league free agent. I don't think I drafted him. He's about a 1.5 star pitcher. I don't see him making much of an impact. But before we go into these next 3 games with Miami, I had said that I wanted to start looking at benching Ochoa, and Molina's just a 1.5 star player, but he's got some good ratings. I'm going to try. Oh man, I hate to see him doing so poorly, but I'm going to start, let's say, every 4th game for now. But and for the DL, I don't or DH, I don't want. Yeah, I think I will keep him, but maybe we'll have Riley every 5th game at DH. I know that's not a big adjustment, but hopefully he can start turning it around. And one other thing I like to do when the first of the month hits, I just like to look at the ratings to see if anyone did improve a little bit. So McSparran, he's still a 2.5 stars, 3 overall potential, but man, his individual ratings are really solid for a pitcher. 4 strong pitches. I still think this guy, he's got great personality ratings. I still think this guy could develop down the line. Bobby Austin's still 4.5, and looks like Carson Kelly's now rated better than Keenan Smith. Keenan Smith will probably not meet his vesting criteria of 400 plate appearances this year. So Vandenhoeven didn't move up. He's still just a 2.5 overall with a potential of 3. Cameron, Tennessee, the same thing. He's just 2 overall, potential 3. Vargas still a 3-star player. So let me go ahead and finish this series now at Miami. We need to at least split it. And we'll win the second one big, 5-1. Vargas came through again, 2 for 4, scored a run, drove in he had 2 RBIs. Devers with a couple RBIs. Vandenhoeven, 2 for 4. And Molina got to start at right field, so he might already be seeing more play time. And it was McSparran. He didn't pick up the win, but 6 strong innings, just gave up 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. And Ray here has still not given up a run, just 4 innings, but he's looked really good since I called him up. And any news there? Just an injury report. So 2 more. Let's see if we can win this one. Washington's starting to pull away a little bit. They're up 2.5 games against us. And we lose the 3rd game 3-6. Not much offensively there. A few guys with 1 hit. Ochoa may have gotten his 13th home run. Nope, he didn't. But 1 for 3 with a run and an RBI. And Kentelme, not a good game. 5 innings, 4 runs, 8 hits. And Castro, who has really struggled in the bench or in the bullpen, he gave up a couple runs there. Medina, however, I think has looked a lot better since I put him in the bullpen. Let's check this news. Andres Jimenez, he got his 2010. He was when he broke into the league, I think it was with the Mets. He was a really good player there for several years, and I think he's had some injury proneness. He's currently at Wrecked, but not a terrible career for him. He's got some speed overall, 343 stolen bases for this career, and a 54 wins above replacement. He's just 32, about to turn 33. He might get a few more, I don't know, a couple hundred, 200 or 300 more hundred hits. Might get to 400 steals. I don't know, but I think he's had a pretty decent career. So here we go. I'm going to finish today, and then we're going to sim this last game against Miami. And we lost again. Big loss. So now we're at 4.5 back of Washington. And I'm not sure, but that may have put us out of the wild card race. But let me take a look at how we lost. Lewis was 2 for 3, not a bad game from him. Vandenhoeven, another pretty good game, 2 for 4. No home runs in the game. And then Urrutia, another bad outing for him. His ERA is now up to 4.25. So I might be regretting not making a trade for another pitcher. I'm going to check real quick, see if anybody is out there on the waiver wire. There is a starter, but 2 stars. I'm not 34 years old. I'm not really going to try that. But Pineda here, he's just he's a bullpen only. He's a righty. I don't really think I would need him too much, but that's pretty solid to be out there on the waivers. He's outspoken personality class. He might be clashing with this team because he's with the Giants, who are having a great year, but he's not really having a good year at all. 6.28 ERA. I think I'll stay away from that one. Let me check the news though while we're here. So Chris Woodley is the player of the week. This guy is he's on fire. He started out in AAA. I wonder if he had some injuries. Yeah, he was out 2 months to start the year, so that's why he hasn't had more play time. But man, this guy is looking like a huge star in the making, and he was a 5th round pick for Tampa Bay. But great power. He's probably going to strike out a lot, although so far he hasn't really done that even. 9 walks, 9 strikeouts. Going to have to keep an eye on him, though. He might be another star. That may have been why Tampa Bay felt like they could get rid of Justin Bellinger in the offseason. And then Dunn, he's having a great year, too, it looks like. For St. Louis, he had a player of the week, and I think he just finished. Both of these guys were just player of the month for July. He's a pretty good player. I like his eye. Look at that. 2 years of 120 plus walks. Love to have a guy like that on my team. So we're going to play a makeup game against Chicago, and then we got Atlanta and St. Louis. But we're at home, so I'm hoping we'll be able to turn it around. We're still 12th overall in the power rankings, so that puts us above, half the field. Looking at the standings, we are currently half game back of the Dodgers for that second wild card spot. But it looks like we're gaining, or at least moving up quite a bit in that wild card field. 5.5 over Atlanta and San Diego, 6 games over them. So it may not be as close going down the stretch. But in terms of the way the league's looking up, San Francisco's still holding strong. Milwaukee's still going strong. Washington, they're looking good. Won 6 in a row, 9 of 10. And individually, we still have Vargas up there and stolen bases, and Ailman is creeping up on the RBI lead. And then pitching-wise, Ian Plyler he's already over 200 strikeouts, but his win totals have come down quite a bit in the last couple months. Still going to have a good year, and I wouldn't rule him out being Cy Young again. He's won it already 4 times. And Bobby Austin is now 2nd in the league in saves. And then over in the American League, Kinsler still having a good year, but Kyle Tucker overcame him in the for batting average. So that's going to be a close race. One thing I didn't mention is Justin Bellinger, who is now with Kansas City. He did get injured, and you can see it's taking a toll on Kansas City. At one point early in the season, they were had the best record in the league, and they're on kind of a slide, and it's allowing Detroit and Cleveland to almost catch up with them. So that might turn into be a close race. The Yankees and now Tampa Bay, they're starting to play strong. That could be a good race in the East. And then really weird things that are going on in the West. No team is playing above 500. So that's going to be a toss-up. And from top to bottom, you've got 3 games separating everybody in that division. But Kinsler's still having a great year, already 46 home runs, and we just started August. So he's still on pace for 70. He might do it. I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit that many. I think I did see a player or two. I don't know if it was in version 18 or 19, but I did see a guy hit 60 plus. So unless he gets injured, I think that could be a good bet for him to do that this year. So that's going to do it for this episode. I'm going to sim ahead until what I like to do is get to about 2 weeks, 20 games or so left in the season. And unless we're just tanking, I'll probably be back and we'll sim through the rest of the season and see if we can make the playoffs again. And I hope that we can. It's just really going to matter. It's going to depend on, do we stay healthy enough, and is that pitching going to be enough to get us through it? But stay tuned. We'll see. Thanks for watching and the subscribing and the comments. I appreciate it, and hope you're enjoying the series. And I look forward to seeing you next episode. Thanks.